RVBN, the Rich Video Blog Network, Billerica, Massachusetts, home to top 10 lists of everything and anything. Awesome video blogs about sports, weather, birthdays, pro wrestling, MBTA bus routes, and many more, and personality profiles only on RVBN. Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Saturday, September 24th, 2016, around 4:30 in the afternoon in Billerica, Massachusetts. Very sunny day out, but chilly. Around 64, 65 degrees. Nice fall day. Hopefully apple picking or enjoying some apple cider and seeing pumpkins, because that's this time of year. There's already some Christmas stuff up, but that's 3 months away. We should not be focusing on Christmas. We should be focusing on the fall. Christmas season's going to be upon us, but we don't want to get too quickly. Could be an 80-degree day soon because of Indian summer. It's bound to happen. Some news to report on the RVBN News. Why Boston College football team beat Wagner by a score of 42-10. Also, Penguins goaltender Matt Murray is going to be out 3 to 6 weeks because he broke his hand during the World Cup of Hockey. That's a bad break for Matt Murray, but Marc-Andre Fleury was going to be the number one goaltender for the Penguins in the time being. A new report for Americans has 7 out of 10 Americans having less than $1,000 in their savings account. That's a very scary and frightening situation. On average, you should have in your savings account $20,000. That's what they say in order to use it for a rainy day if you lose your job or something like that. But only less than $1,000. That's scary. It's probably because the economy not being too great, and also the cost of living going up and up. And sad news to report in the world of Hollywood. Actor Billy Nunn passed away at the age of 62. So prayers to his family in this time of need. And that's about it on the RVBN News. Why I'll be back in a flash. I'm back. Did you miss me? My second video blog subject of the day is about 100 shows of a television series. That's the magic number for a primetime show, whether it be a sitcom or a drama, an action adventure series or whatever, that could be profitable in syndicated reruns. This practice has started years and years ago, back in the 50s, when primetime series like sitcoms and dramas and action adventure shows and other shows like that were on the air, and they got real popular in primetime, and many of the distributors of these shows wanted to make more money off of them when they go off the air completely on prime time, or when they're still running on the air. And the syndicated reruns at different stations across America, which they played it before prime time, in the prime access time, or on independent stations throughout the country that weren't affiliated with the network, so they could be playing them 5 days a week. And for each television show, they needed to have at least 100 episodes before they could syndicate them, so they wouldn't have to repeat them for approximately 20 weeks. The first show to be widely popular in syndication was I Love Lucy, starring Lucille Ball, and she was quoted for saying when her first show went on the air, that when it was a hit, like the first season of I Love Lucy, I bet many people will watch the show when it eventually goes off the air in a rerun 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. And many of the television executives, producers says, what's a rerun? Something that's replayed over again. They didn't know about that, but I Love Lucy was the first successful primetime network series to be successfully syndicated. And it's still on the air today on MeTV and Decades TV, and it was a staple for many stations' reruns for years, when it was put in prime access or in the daytime or the nighttime. And all the actors and actresses on like I Love Lucy got residuals from the show. That residual checks, they weren't big checks, but they were, okay. And many other series have continued to be prospered in syndication. Usually a show that might not be successful in prime time gets a second life in syndication, or like the reruns get a second life in syndication. Take in point Star Trek, when it ran on the air from 1966 to 1969 on NBC, it only had 79 episodes, and it wasn't a big primetime hit. But when it went into syndication in many cities in 1969, it was immediately a big hit. It even beat the local news in several markets that it was being shown on at 6 o'clock in the evening. Eventually, the reruns of Star Trek spawned the Star Trek film franchise and a lot of TV sequels, and that's a big hit on syndication. Usually they would syndicate television shows that are on the air at least maybe 2, 3, 4 years at the minimum. They never syndicate shows that only have 13 weeks episodes and get canceled, because that's worthless. That's not pointless. You'll be recycling episodes like 2.5 weeks in, and that would not be a big money maker for the show's producers. And other shows that have had very successful syndicated runs, better than the primetime runs, like the Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island. Those were very successful, like in syndication, and for many years in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And some of the variety shows that were shown in the 60s and 70s, like the Sonny and Cher show and Carol Burnett show and Laugh-In and the Flip Wilson show, were syndicated. But they were chopped up and they were reduced to only a half hour. They just showed like the comedy segments and a few other segments. They did not show musical guests, because due to licensing fees and other stuff. And even classic game shows made their appearance in reruns in syndication. The first one was back in 1968, when Goodson and Todman syndicated reruns of the last season of Password on CBS, the daytime version of Password. They paired it up in some cities with the new What's My Line, And they did that because to see if there was a market out there, if they could revive Password and syndication. They did that 3 years later for Password on ABC. Another game show they syndicated reruns with was around 1976 when Barry and Wright syndicated the last season of The Joker's Wild on CBS to stations around the country. And those were big hits, the reruns of the last season, and they commissioned a Joker's Wild revival in syndication in 1977, and other game shows have done that in the past. Well, like Let's Make a Deal around the late 1970s, Gambit with Wink Martindale, Match Game in the early 1980s, just a syndicated Match Game, Card Sharks with like Jim Perry in 1982, the last season on NBC was syndicated through stations, and reruns of The Gong Show and The Dating Game and Newlywed Game and Blockbusters with Bill Cullen were like actually kind of syndicated in the mid 1980s on like television stations to see if there was interest to revive the series, and many of them were successful in that and reviving them in syndication. And the last game show reruns that were syndicated were Press Your Luck, 130 episodes back in 1986, 1987, which was in like they showed their CBS ones like from mid 1985. They were so successful then it went to the USA Network. In recent years, usually some of the most successful sitcoms in history have had like even better runs in syndication. Everybody Loves Raymond, which was on the air from 1996 through 2005, was a primetime hit, but it's still strong in syndication. It's going through its fourth cycle. More and more of the stations that have carried it since 2001 in syndication is making money off it. Seinfeld, it's going almost ending its fifth syndicated cycle, and it still gets ratings winners for the channels it's on. It's awesome. And Friends, and these shows continue in reruns to do great, and the cast and the crew of these series get residuals, and it's awesome. And for any successful show in prime time needs at least 100 episodes to be profitable for syndication. And they usually syndicate sitcoms to the individual stations 5 days a week. They don't syndicate hour-long programs that much anymore for dramas or action adventure series on syndication. They don't do it 5 days a week. There's a select few they do on weekends, because usually they try to have half-hour shows for the sitcoms, and usually the other stations for this syndicated program is talk shows or game shows or courtroom dramas. So that's about it on the 100 show rule, or the magic number. And I'll be back with the third and final video blog of the night, the personality profile. Tonight's personality profile will be about former Major League Baseball pitcher and current broadcaster of the New York Mets, of SNY and TBS, Ron Darling. Like I say, keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Bunny guy. Molly Roseblood of WCCO, Roxanne has nice legs. Elizabeth Hutt, so stunning, she's the best. Amy Sweezy's awesome Amy. Linda Church of WPIX Channel 11 New York, such a rocking cougar. And Bob Gibbs of ABC 11 has a sweet southern accent. And if you're going to Tilted Kilt in Billerica, Massachusetts, get the garlic boneless chicken wings. And that's yummy. And Tilted Kilt in Billerica is located on 15 Middlesex Turnpike, on the Billerica, Bedford, Burlington line, exit 26 off of Route 3.